In an ABC 17 StormTrack Weather Alert tonight, many parts of mid-Missouri are under a winter weather advisory as the snow continues to pile up.
Here's a live look right now outside of our StormTrack Weather Cam in Columbia. I think we're planning on showing that to you. Here it is. The snow is causing slick road conditions around mid-Missouri right now. And we have live team coverage tonight with crews checking in on Columbia roads as well as Jefferson City roads. But first, let's head over to ABC 17 StormTrack Chief Meteorologist Sharon Ray, who's tracking this winter storm in your first full complete forecast. Sharon. All right, thank you very much, Sharon. Since 1 o'clock, Boone County authorities have been working more than 20 accidents. And as more mid-Missourians start their trip home, we are tracking those commuting conditions. We've been in constant contact with road crews, and we have the latest road conditions out of Columbia and Jefferson City. First, we'll check in with ABC 17's Jillian Furtick. She joins us now live from I-70 in Columbia. And Jillian, what are you seeing right now?
Well, Marissa, right now the highway's moving pretty smoothly, but that road is pretty slick. We were driving here on the way to this live shot actually, and lots of slick spots out there, so you'll definitely want to be driving slow if you're going to be on I-70. We've seen a lot of MoDOT trucks coming through. They've been salting and plowing areas. And again, we've been telling you since last night, MoDOT has every single crew on standby. Now, as far as what Columbia is doing, we talked to the Columbia Public Works Department. They have 17 pieces of snow equipment out right now, including snow plows, salt trucks, things like that. They're going through and treating first and second priority routes right now. They're also salting and plowing those areas where needed. We're not sure yet whether they'll be out tonight. They tell me they're still kind of waiting and watching, kind of depending on the temperature and how this snowfall goes for the rest of the night. So we'll continue to check into them. And again, like you guys said, Boone County has worked 22 accidents since the snow started falling earlier this afternoon, so you'll want to be careful. Coming up tonight at 6, we'll have more on the latest road conditions for your commute. Reporting live in Columbia, Jillian Furtick, ABC 17 News.
Thank you, Jillian. And snow isn't slowing down the roads in Jefferson City. In fact, there's hardly any traffic right now.
ABC 17's Lucas Geisler is live in the capital city near Highway 50 in Lucas. The salt trucks have plenty of work there.
Yeah, Daniel and Marissa, right now, there's really flurries of snow have been on and off over the last hour. It picked up just a little bit around 5 o'clock, but right now the flurries have once more died down and really not a lot of snow piling up here on the streets in Jefferson City. I spoke to Jefferson City Operations Director Britt Smith, who tells me that he has been driving around with the 24 other trucks that the city has, driving around and really trying to treat these roads with salt. That is going to be the one thing that he says that him and his crews need to watch out for as they go along, is as the temperatures drop, a lot of these soaked roads could freeze over, and he says that's what they're trying to combat right now. Not a lot of accumulation of snow, though, to speak for. He says that those trucks will probably be out at least until 7. He says really as much as they're needed, that they'll be out here as long as something is still falling from the sky, that they'll be out trying to treat those roads. It says at least by 7 p.m. that they'll be out there trying to get people through their commute back home. Now, while this might pale in comparison to what is going on in Columbia and with Jillian and in Boone County, the Jefferson City schools have canceled some after-school activities, including the basketball game with Helias. Reporting live here in Jefferson City, Lucas Geisler, ABC 17 News.
Thank you very much, Lucas. And like we said, we'll continue to keep an eye on the road conditions throughout mid-Missouri.
And this winter weather actually caused many schools to close early this afternoon. Columbia Public Schools stayed in session, but told parents to expect some bus delays for that ride home. School officials said individual schools will be in charge of deciding to cancel activities tonight.
At Jefferson City Public Schools, all after-school activities and sports are canceled for this evening. We also have some community closings coming into our newsroom.
For a complete updated list of scheduled changes because of the weather, you can head over to abc17news.com or our mobile app.
Right now, local and federal authorities are investigating after a bomb threat at a Jefferson City bank. It happened around 11 o'clock this morning at the Central Motor Bank. Employees at the bank called police telling them they had a bomb threat and they were evacuating the building. Authorities searched the building with a canine unit but did not find anything suspicious. Police are now working with the FBI.
A woman is in custody tonight accused of killing her 16-year-old daughter. 49-year-old Starletta Blevins-Moore is charged with second-degree murder. Authorities say she gave her daughter Kaylin Moore prescription pills that were prescribed to the mother. Her daughter was found dead in her bedroom hours after overdosing on the pills. ABC 17's Ashley Strohmeyer learned this isn't the first child of Blevins-Moore to die from an overdose.
The Marys County Sheriff, Chris Heitman, tells me Starletta Blevins-Moore has 10 children. 2 of them have died from prescription drug overdose. The sheriff says the 16-year-old died on Christmas Eve of last year, but Blevins-Moore was arrested just yesterday. Marys County Sheriff Chris Heitman says when they found Kaylin Moore, it was apparent she had died from an accidental overdose.
Ultimately, what the mom did, she provided the controlled substances, the drugs to the daughter, and now she's dead.
Heitman also tells me it was not uncommon for Blevins-Moore and her daughter to do drugs together.
We get out there last night, and guess what? There's still drug paraphernalia out there. There's still snorting pills. There's still lines on the table. The death of her daughter did not stop what was going on in that house.
He also says when they found her daughter dead on Christmas Eve, Blevins-Moore was nowhere to be found.
We looked everywhere, and it was late that evening before we ever talked to her.
Heitman expects more charges to come down on Blevins-Moore. Not only was she supplying drugs to her daughter, the sheriff says Blevins-Moore allowed her to date a 23-year-old, which in Missouri is statutory rape. There was also a 10-year-old child in the home at the time of the overdose. The sheriff tells me that child is now staying with a family member. In the Jefferson City newsroom, Ashley Strohmeyer, ABC 17 News.
Blevins-Moore had her first court appearance today. Her next court date is February 14th. If she's found guilty of second-degree murder, she faces up to 30 years in prison.
News around Missouri tonight. Women looking to get an abortion in the state could be forced to watch a video on the procedure beforehand. The House committee gave initial approval to the abortion legislation earlier this week. It would require the state's health department to create a video with information about the abortions. That video would then be shown to a woman at least 72 hours before the procedure. St. Louis police say a 23-year-old man fatally shot by police officers was also wounded by police back in 2009 for pointing a gun at officers. Ladarius Williams died last night after being shot during a struggle with 2 police officers. Police say Williams ran from the 2 officers after they saw him acting suspiciously. He then pointed a gun at them. In 2009, Williams pleaded guilty to a similar crime and was sentenced to 14 years in prison. He was released last year.
Just ahead on ABC 17 News at 5, where the news comes first.
Tonight, 2 prisoners in Jordan are dead after ISIS kills a Jordanian pilot. We'll have the latest on that situation.
Plus, at least 5 people are dead and more than 10 injured after a commuter train and car collide. Hear what investigators are working to find out. That's next.
Coming up all new on ABC 17 News at 6 tonight, we'll tell you about a convicted murderer who's going back to prison for trying to get into a stranger's bed. We'll tell you about the home break-in coming up on ABC 17 News at 6.
Have no doubt, ISIS is winning. We are neither degrading nor destroying ISIS, and we have no strategy for doing so.
Tonight, Senator John McCain is speaking out after Jordan executed 2 al-Qaeda prisoners.
The 2 terrorists were hanged to death this morning, just hours after ISIS militants released a new video showing a Jordanian pilot being burned to death in a cage. Over the past week, Jordan has been in talks with the terror group about a proposed prisoner swap. The government offered to trade a failed suicide bomber for the release of the pilot. Talks were at a standstill when ISIS failed to prove whether or not that pilot was still alive.
31 people are dead after a plane crash in Taiwan. Here you can see the terrifying video of a Trans-Asia plane going down. Clipped a bridge and a taxi cab along the way. The plane then plunged into a river below. 58 people were on board. The taxi driver and his 2 passengers were taken to a local hospital.
Looking at news around America tonight, investigators in New York are still working to learn more about a deadly train crash. Federal officials hope to find out how fast the commuter train was going or if it sounded its horn before slamming into an SUV at a crossing 20 miles north of New York City. At least 5 people are confirmed dead, one of those being the driver of the SUV. Investigators are looking for witnesses and any aerial footage of that incident.
Coming up, I'll show you a new look at StormTrack Doppler radar where the snow is still falling, and I'll have some of the totals as of 5 o'clock, what our storm trackers have reported in with. We'll also take a look at those cold temperatures for tomorrow. Next.
Thanks, Sharon.
Well, coming up, find out what cost one car maker billions of dollars this year.
And certain supplements are being pulled off the shelves after chain stores are accused of selling fake products. That's next.
Tonight, GM's record number of recalls last year is costing the company billions.
$4 billion covered repair costs, compensating victims and other expenses. General Motors recalled more than 30 million cars and trucks in 2014. That includes the 2 million vehicles affected by a faulty ignition switch. That issue has now been tied to dozens of deaths.
In a consumer alert right now, some top retailers are in trouble for selling bogus herbal supplements. New York's Attorney General has ordered Walmart, GNC, Target, and Walgreens to stop selling certain supplements. This comes after tests revealed that the products do not contain the herbal ingredient or on the label that they only have a small amount. All 4 chains say they plan to follow that order and take appropriate action. And Sharon will have another look at your forecast coming up next.
Thanks, Sharon. We'll see you back at 6.